Hidden camera catches this waitress's best day ever. In many countries, when you are done with a meal, the first thing you begin thinking about is the tip. This is a custom that has become standard for most people. This is good because many waitresses and waiters don't make enough with their hourly pay to make ends meet. That means that these hard-working individuals count on those tips to survive. Unfortunately, although it is often looked at as taboo not to leave a tip, some people simply enjoy their meal, say thanks, and walk out without leaving a cent. These people just don't understand that their little addition to the bill could be a big thing for the person who has been delivering them their food and drinks. You may think that acts of kindness are far gone from the society we live in today, but this is far from true. That is what this fun prank show called Break showed this waitress at a small food establishment. With hidden cameras, the show set up in the smokehouse and began to execute their plan to deliver a whole day of unforgettable pranks. With the help of some of the waitress's friends and co-workers, this was going to be a day she would never forget. Waiters and waitresses often go unacknowledged and definitely underappreciated, and that is why the pranksters at Break opted to do this pay-it-forward prank at the Spring Street Smokehouse. There is a large number of people out there who tip nothing or the bare minimum. To give back to one of these servers, the team at Break set up hidden cameras and some special guests for one particular waitress, Chelsea Roff. Like so many servers, Chelsea had to fight to make sure she had enough money to get by, but for Chelsea, it wasn't all about her. Chelsea had to bring in money since she was very young. She had more responsibilities than other people her age, including raising her baby sister all on her own. To make ends meet, she had to get a job. Like most young people, she found a job in food service. On top of taking responsibility for her younger sister, Chelsea also fought a severe eating disorder. She managed to overcome it eventually, but the struggle was hard. Most of her money went to standard expenses, like rent and food, as well as making sure her sister had everything she needed. Those expenditures didn't leave much for her to spend on transportation, so Chelsea drove what she could, which is a beat-up red coupe. Working as much as Chelsea does did not leave a lot of free time for the young waitress. However, she used whatever free time she had to help people who suffered from eating disorders as she had. Chelsea opened a non-profit organization that uses yoga to help people who have overcome eating disorders feel good and be healthier. That way, she was paying forward the kindness that she was shown when she battled the disease. Chelsea works hard, and many of her fellow teammates and friends thought she deserved a little something special. That is why they called in the team from Break to help have some fun with Chelsea. Along with a few actors and big tippers, the team set up for a day that Chelsea would never forget. After the team gathered together the actors and real-life citizens who wanted to help give Chelsea a day she would never forget, it was time for the technical aspect of the prank. The Break technical team came in during non-operating hours and quickly changed this simple restaurant into a prank studio. They placed hidden mix and cameras all over the place and covered everything up so no one would notice a thing. Not only did the technical team at Break set up cameras and hidden mix, but they also gave the staff members earpieces so they could steer Chelsea to the tables they needed her to take. This included her manager, and he was easily able to make sure that the right people got to the right table so that Chelsea could experience some epic situations. One of the people behind this prank was the woman who inspired Chelsea to open the yoga studio. Diana Roll was her first yoga teacher, and she was excited to be a part of this amazing project. She knew Chelsea very well and could not wait to see the young woman's reactions. She even thought that Chelsea would be so floored that she would faint when she saw the generosity of others. The day was hectic, and that helped make the prank even better and easier to pull off. Immediately, her co-worker guided her to 2 different tables. She was told to help tables 7 and 3, and the bait was set. Chelsea looked like she was handling the rush well, and after putting some things at the bar, she hurried to take care of her first table. She has no idea what she was in for. After setting her stuff down, Chelsea moved to her first table, where a gentleman wanted to order a smaller meal because he was in a hurry. This wasn't strange to Chelsea. Once he ordered his meal, Chelsea knew he needed it to be served quickly, so she moved to the register and put his order in. Making it a rush order, he got his food quickly delivered by another one of Chelsea's teammates. The gentleman ate a little and then asked for the rest to be put into a to-go bag. This was a sign for Chelsea to drop off the bill at the table. Once she sat the ticket down, she walked away to help another one of her tables, expecting to circle back around in a few seconds to pick up the bill. After Chelsea moved away, the head prankster gave the gentleman his orders through his earpiece. He pulled the cash out and began to divide it up per those instructions. He laid a $20 bill on the table and then left $1,000 in the billfold. Then, he grabbed his food and left the building. That is one heck of a tip. Noticing that her customer had left, Chelsea finished up with her other table and circled around to pick up the tab. At first, she didn't notice anything that was out of the ordinary. Once she looked closer, though, it didn't take her long to see that the guy had left an exorbitant tip. After all, who leaves $1,000 for a $20 bill? Once back behind the bar, Chelsea could then take the time to count exactly how much the guy had left at her table. Counting it in front of her other teammates, she realized just how big that tip really was. Keeping the prank going, her fellow server was curious just what the young waitress had said to the man to get such an amazing tip. Naturally, Chelsea couldn't think of what she had said that would warrant this. Of course, as Chelsea held the cash, she felt it was too much and wanted to share it with everyone. Her fellow teammates wouldn't let her do that even though she tried very hard. Audra, one of the people who were in on the whole prank, stepped in and took the money so that Chelsea didn't have to put it in her pocket. The waitress placed the money in a jar so that Chelsea could pick it up later. By this point, the second table she had been serving finished their meal and was ready to pay the bill. Chelsea went to take care of them and was greeted with quite a shocking situation. The couple didn't have enough for a tip, but they were travel agents, so they offered her an all-expenses-paid voucher for a Hawaii trip for 2 people. Shocked, Chelsea tried to refuse, but they were insistent. Chelsea was shocked and unsure of what was happening. The staff played along, even being playfully jealous of her amazing luck. They all knew that Chelsea more than deserved that vacation. Her boss expressed his thankfulness for her dedication and knew that Chelsea was going to have a great time on her trip to Hawaii. She completely deserves it, he said in an interview segment. Perfectly set up at one of the tables was a woman thumbing through a yoga book. She was set there to catch the eye of Chelsea. It was the perfect setup for a conversation starter. Chelsea honed in on it and quickly asked if the woman did yoga. The woman explained to Chelsea that she was trying to learn and the conversation quickly turned to Chelsea's experience with yoga. After Chelsea began to talk about teaching yoga, the woman asked her about her story. Humbled by the question, Chelsea shied away from talking about it by saying it was a long story. For some reason, Chelsea felt comfortable enough to tell the woman about her eating disorder and the advice that her therapist had given her when she was done with treatment. The woman sitting at the table was actually a clinical psychologist who, when asked to participate, took the time to study up on Chelsea's amazing story. She knew then that she wanted to be a part of this amazing act of kindness. Chelsea's story of hard work and determination touched Dr. Susan Crevoy. This admiration led the doctor to offer Chelsea something she had only dreamed of. This would floor Chelsea even more than either of the previous amazing tips. The doctor, who was inspired by Chelsea's story, had actually been running a non-profit eating disorder program for quite a while. It seems the one thing she was missing was a yoga program. Who better to help her with that than a young woman who was already running her own non-profit yoga study for the very same thing. Chelsea was unsure what to say and didn't even know if the offer was even real. It was very real. Was it a chance encounter? Not really, but the offer was real and the doctor came prepared with a packet of information and everything, which she gave to Chelsea. Could her day get any better? Chelsea had received a generous tip, a vacation, and a new dream job. Surely, the pranksters were done. Not quite yet, they had one more problem to help Chelsea solve. She had served the woman sitting at the table, but then had very little interaction with her after that. The final tip was about to be revealed as the woman told the waitress she was ready to pay. Handing over the small clipboard with a check in her payment, Chelsea noticed something else on the board, a key. Thinking that the woman made a mistake, Chelsea handed the key back to her, but the woman wouldn't take it. She gave the key back and then told Chelsea that the key was for her. Standing up from the table, the woman signaled to Chelsea to follow her around the table and towards the door. The young waitress was not sure what was going on, but she took a few minutes to follow the woman outside. Still a little unsure of what was happening at the moment, Chelsea felt that it was the right thing to do. The last prank of the day was now in motion, and her first yoga teacher rushed in to be a part of the delivery. As Chelsea exited the restaurant, she saw a car parked with a big bow on top. Chelsea watched in shock as the woman pointed to the car and told her that's for her. Taken aback and confused at what was happening, Chelsea stood in awe while looking at the car. The car was one heck of a surprise, but there was another big surprise waiting in the driver's seat. As the woman ushered Chelsea to her new car, the door opened and someone very special to the waitress popped out. Chelsea watched the door open and erupted into joyous screams when she saw who was getting out of the car. Her friend and inspiration was standing in the street in front of her. This young woman gives her time and passion to a good cause, and she does it while working hard to provide for herself and her sister. She deserved a little recognition, and through executing this great prank, the team at Break gave her just that. Chelsea Roff is just one of many stories of hard work and dedication. This is proof that acts of kindness can change a person's life, no matter how big or small they are.